Hey everyone, my name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. If you guys like making money, subscribe to the channel. If you like this content, click the thumbs up button. I'm going to answer a comment because I like the question. What are your thoughts on platinum and palladium versus oil and uranium? So platinum has a market deficit. It has been going up. It's going higher, so to speak. But typically palladium trades lower when the other precious metals trade higher. It's kind of that oddball precious metal, which is great because we need the oddball every once in a while. Platinum is a substitute for palladium, and palladium's far higher than platinum. Platinum's the one I would buy. Platinum, platinum, platinum. Platinum is cheap on a ratio basis to gold, silver, and to palladium and rhodium. It's cheap to everything. And platinum typically is way more expensive than palladium and gold. Right now, that's reversed. This is a total anomaly. Platinum is the one to hold because it's used in fuel cells, and the demand for fuel cells, I think, is going to rocket higher. You don't even need great adoption of fuel cells to have the demand for platinum rocket higher. The loadings in fuel cells are much higher than the loadings in a catalytic converter. So the trade-off is good, and we don't want the loadings in fuel cells to be, super high. We want them to be actually pretty low, so that the price of platinum could rocket higher, and then they make a whole bunch of fuel cell vehicles. There are certain areas where they're going to develop fuel cells no matter what. I think very large trucking, maybe like large trucks where they mine might use fuel cells. They might put them into airplanes, something where they need the energy density and to fill it up very quickly. That is, and maybe even semi-trucks, something like that. The batteries, I'm not so keen on batteries. I'd rather see hydrogen, even though from a energy return on energy invested basis, they are absolutely energy drains. They are for hydrogen. But if you get a bunch of renewable energy, even though the energy return on energy invested is not high there, they can still do electrolysis. It's super clean, but they could run hydrogen and they could fill it up, these vehicles, very quickly. Batteries, if you build a whole bunch of batteries, what do you do with them 10 years after their use or 20 years after their use? You just throw them all out? Like, are we gonna have some massive recycling plan? Can we recycle the nickel out of all these batteries? What's the plan for wind turbines and all of the scrap that they have with their wind turbine blades? I mean, you've got dust in air, you've got these wind turbine blades spinning, and it acts as it being sandblasted over time. What are they going to do with all this? Are they just going to throw it in landfills everywhere? They have not thought this through very well in terms of wind turbines. It's a bunch of garbage. Now, what about all the batteries that we're going to have to use to store this? Are we just going to throw those out too? What's the plan there? We're green, we're not throwing all this stuff into the air, but we're just throwing it all in the landfill? I don't know. That one, the battery use and the wind turbine blades and all that stuff, I don't know. So back on topic, platinum's the one to own, in my opinion. Platinum's going to substitute palladium, and platinum is by far it's far rarer too. Well, no, they're pretty close in rarity. Platinum's the one I would buy. Oil and uranium. Uranium is a definite buy. I like uranium a lot because it is so levered to the price of gold. The deficits are absolutely humongous out in the future, and it's a clean, nuclear is clean. It doesn't produce carbon dioxide, and it's a high energy return on energy invested fuel. It is a great, great, great fuel. Now, so I like uranium. Definitely look at that for your portfolio if it's not in there. I think that is an absolute one that you need to look at. Oil, there's a mixed bag on oil. There's a lot of people that don't like oil, and there's people who really do like oil. I think that the transition's not going to happen super fast. I think oil is going to be a great investment. Oil has a lot of potential problems that it could have in terms of war, in terms of whatever there is. We use oil, and oil is probably the most valuable commodity to humankind right now. It's used everywhere. So oil is a very good store of value. It is completely undervalued at this time. At 40 something bucks, you're getting it for free, literally. And the ratio tells us that in relationship to gold because it's never been this cheap. So it is a commodity that is extremely cheap, that is used everywhere. And right now, since we have lockdowns and all this other junk from COVID, I think it could surprise people quicker than what most people think. And the reason I say that is, what happens when you go from lockdowns, and let's say a vaccine, we do have a vaccine, let's say it gets out, people get vaccinated, and all of a sudden, people go back to living. Now, when they go back to living, what does that step change look like? Is it people saying, I've been cooped up, I'm going to get the hell out, I'm going to go on a vacation right now? What if everyone does that? What does the demand look like for airlines? What does the demand look like for oil? Now, if we hit this boom and everybody wants to increase our mineral extraction for electric vehicles, and we're going to do it now, how much oil is that going to use when you're firing up these gigantic trucks, which are bigger than the size of most people's homes, and they run these things overtime to extract copper, nickel, silver, all these different minerals where the prices are going through the roof. We're going to go through a mining boom, and that's going to take a ton of oil. So what happens when all of this step changes, boom, hits at once? What just happened to the oil industry? They're all cutting back, saying, I can barely survive. All this oil is coming offline. Will it come back online quickly? I don't know. How much damage has been done? So people are going to say OPEC's just going to turn on the spigot. Okay, what if 20 million barrels more is demanded? What if their spigot's only 10 million barrels? Where's the extra 10 million going to come from? What if we hit $200, $300, $400 a barrel of oil? I don't know. What if we are really going to ramp EV vehicles? All of these big trucks are going to come right back online, and they're going to all be mining overtime. Do we have the oil to run all that? Do we have 100 million barrels plus? I don't know. I don't know if that's what we have. I don't have the answer here, but I think oil is a good spot to be for this next bull run. After this bull run, perhaps the demand will decline. Perhaps. But a lot of people look at the demand only from an end user like me and you driving cars. Those monster trucks that are out there, those big loaders, they're going to have a lot of demand. And when you have a commodities boom and you're going after declining ore grades, going after less and less stuff, you're going to have to move far more earth, far more material to get the ounces that people want to use. I don't even know if some of these ounces in its entirety exist 10, 20, 30 years from now of how much they want to use. We're going to be using ore grades that are basically nothing. I mean, we're talking 50 grams per ton on silver, not on gold. That is extremely low. We're looking at 1,000 grams per ton or more. We are going to have to move so much more, earth to get the ounces out of the ground. And that's why I'm such a bull on the physical metals. They don't have high grades anymore. All that stuff has been produced or is being produced now. So I am a huge bull, huge bull on physical precious metals because of energy scarcity in the future. Lower energy return on energy invested solutions are coming into play, and declining ore grades. So I think physical precious metals, because it protects you from currency crap, whether it be hyperinflation, inflation, deflation, doesn't matter what it is. And they're very difficult to tax if you own it physically. It's like, what are they going to do? Come cut a piece off of it from you? How do you tax it? And then you've got the declining ore grades on the other side. So I don't see how this stuff doesn't become more valuable, because the inflation is going to push it higher and it's harder and harder to get. So that's my take on those. I think they are all extremely valuable, and I would be choosing platinum over palladium. If you guys like this content, click the thumbs up button. Appreciate you guys listening. This is Finding Value.